Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and we are talking new cards today. Ben Brode himself announced many new cards. I'm just gonna watch them live in the video here as he talks about where they are. Let's go here. He's gonna start listing them off right here. And we're just gonna go over it one by one. I just like this more because I like being able to look at Ben Brode. He's an awesome guy. So let's kind of review the cards. So let me move it down here so we can actually see what we're looking at here. Luke Cage, first one. 2 energy, 1 power, ongoing. Your cards can't have their power reduced. So immediately what I think we're all thinking is we're thinking Hazmat. We could finally make Hazmat a good card with Luke Cage, right? He kind of turns, I mean, it's also good for like certain locations like sewer system or negative zone, but you don't want to build cards based around locations that may or may not show up unless it's like a hot location, something like that. But so he's like okay in those situations, but really your cards can't have their power reduced. This is going to undo the Scorpion effect. Not in your hand, you're not going to see it in your hand, but if you Scorpion lowers something by 1, you know, it's like a 2 power thing, it goes down to 1, you'll play it, it'll go back to 2. At least that's my understanding of how the card works. Good in the locations, things like that, but really I think it's that on reveal Hazmat, right? You want a Wong Hazmat Odin, you know, you want to give all creatures -1 power twice, and then you want to do it another 4 times, so all of their stuff is getting -8 power while all your stuff is untouched. It's very cool deck idea. Extra punishing against Zoo, things like that. And honestly, in the mirror matchup, it's kind of interesting because both your Hazmats don't do anything, so you might end up running like a White Tiger as an alternate win condition in like a in a matchup, right? In a mirror matchup. Either way, I really like this card. I love Hazmat. It's the card I'm looking forward to using. How good is it? I mean, it's niche. It does not feel like a card you just run, but especially because it's 2 energy, 1 power. But in the right deck, obviously this card I think has a lot of potential. We have got Absorbing Man. Sorry, he goes even faster than me. Absorbing Man, maybe the card most people are excited for. 4 energy, 5 power. Sorry, 4 energy, 3 power. On reveal, if the last card you played has on reveal, this card copies it. So this is just this is Mystique for on reveal. I mean, you start getting Wong, Mystique, Odin, Absorbing Man. You start getting all these kinds of pieces, these doubling effects, repeat effects. Like this could just go nuts. I don't even know where I'd use this, right? I mean, again, it could fit in the Hazmat deck, I guess, but I mean, if you get down like an early Odin, like you're able to cheat it out because you're playing a Electro, right? You know, you Electro and then what, White Tiger, Odin, and then you could Absorbing Man the Odin. So Odin's himself. Does he trigger the Odin of the on the Absorbing Man? Do they loop? I don't know. I'm sure that there's some sort of hard cap on that. But I mean, this card is going to be broken in 150 ways. He's as powerful as Wong, if I had to guess. I do think more powerful than Mystique, which is cause for the higher cost. Mystique is good, but there's a lot of ongoing things that don't do that much. You definitely want some specific ongoing things with Mystique, where this just feels like this is good with fucking everything, man. This card feels busted. Very excited to see how the player base completely breaks this card in like 10 different ways on the first week. Maybe my personal favorite card announced, and it's boring, but I kind of like boring cards. SheHulk. 6 energy, 10 power, cost 1 less for each unspent energy last turn, right? This is just, and this is basically you're adding a jetpack to your Infinite, right? This is just Infinite plus 50% in a sense, because if you skip turn 5, right, this is, well, I mean, I guess if it skips turn 5, it's going to cost 1 energy, so you're not actually going to be able to play this and Infinite on turn 6. You would have to Electro and then skip your turn 5, which would actually be, you're skipping 6 energy then, and then, but you want to be able to play both of them either. So maybe I'm thinking about how it works. Okay, on turn 4, you need to Psycho Lock. All right, that way next turn you have 6 mana, you waste all 6, then you Infinite SheHulk in the same turn. That's going to be how you do it. I just like this card in general, right? You skip turn 3, obviously it's just good with Sunspot. You know, let's say you Sunspot armor, turn 3 you skip, then on turn 4 this thing only costs 3, and so you can play this and another 1-drop, things like that. It's a card that I'm not sure exactly how it's going to fit into the curve yet, but I just really like not spending energy and getting. I like cards that benefit off not spending energy, because sometimes you have dead draws, and having a deck that's built around not spending energy means your dead draws are way less bad, right? Like if you have Sunspot Armor on the board, if you have to skip turn 4 for something, it is not nearly as bad as in other decks. So I really like it a lot. Anyway, SheHulk, one of my personal favorites. As you can see here, these are Series 4 cards. They're adding Series 4, Series 5. They mentioned something about rarity. I don't know what they're talking about necessarily with rarity. Maybe these are cards that can't, you don't need to complete Series 3 in order to get Series 4 and Series 5 cards, but maybe it's like they're harder to get, right? They can show up, but they're way more rare. But then maybe after you complete all of Series 3, then you're still guaranteed Series 4, I assume. And these also, they didn't say Series 5, but Series 4 is definitely going to be able to show up at the coin shop for the collector's coin, so don't got to worry about that too much. All right, Tatiana. Titania? I don't know her name, I'll be honest. When any card is played at this location, this card switches sides. So I'm trying to think what you really want to, I mean, obviously it's very powerful, but you have to ensure that you don't just give this to your opponent. I mean, maybe you run Killmonger as a failsafe, but at that point you're just asking to lose, I feel like. You on turn 1 you play it. If your opponent plays a card here, this isn't whenever you play a card, so whenever anyone plays a card, she switches sides. So if your opponent plays a card, they get it, and you play a card, you get it. I'm not yet sure how to make this work. Maybe the idea is to fill up your lane as fast as possible, because if you play her, and then let's say if you played a second thing, it would go there. You played a third thing, it would come back. If you played a fourth thing, it would go there. So if you play her and then you play 3 things, she'll end up on the opponent's side. Not very good in that sense. This card either seems completely busted or incredibly weak. I can't wrap my mind around how to use this card effectively yet. But obviously 5 energy or 5 power for 1 energy is insane. So the drawback has to be pretty crazy and unpredictable. Maria Hill. On reveal, add a random 1-cost card to your hand, 2 energy, 3 power. I mean, that seems bad. I don't, maybe you would run it in random 1-cost card. How good could it possibly be? I mean, is it maybe just like, I think this to me, this feels worse than Agent 13. I'd rather have a random card that might be a really good card. But maybe this is just a Devil Dino enabler, right? Maybe instead of Sentinel, you run this. I mean, I'd probably run Sentinel over this still. So this card, I think I might be missing something. Doesn't seem that good, but I mean, it's a cool looking card, but I'm not too excited about this one. Agent Coulson. On reveal, add a random 4-cost and 5-cost card to your hand. I mean, this is just really cool. I like this card. I don't know how good it is, but having a guaranteed 4-cost card and a guaranteed 5-cost card after you play your 3-cost card, right? So these stats are already pretty decent at 4 power, but then you're guaranteed to have something on turn 4, guaranteed to have something on turn 5. Maybe this goes into the collector deck, again. I mean, the issue is like you're running all these cards that replace themselves. Your hand stays pretty full pretty fast. But I mean, this could be good. So I do like cards like Maria and Agent Coulson with Quinjet. Anything that makes Quinjet better is very good. Quinjet makes it so Maria gives you a 0-cost card. That's really good. Agent Coulson makes it so you get a 3-cost and a 4-cost card effectively. That's pretty good. So you can play your 5-cost card a turn early, whatever it is. Then you might skip the 4-cost card, but very cool card. Again, a little unpredictable, but Devil Dino, Quinjet. Quinjet and Devil Dino kind of are anti-synergistic, not directly so. They both like cards being added to your hand, but Quinjet wants you to play the cards at a discount. Devil Dino wants you to hold them for power. So they're not exactly synergistic, but still, I love Quinjet. That's like in my top 3 cards. So anything that makes that card better, I'm down for. All right, we got Helicarrier, 6-cost, 10 power. So this is the fail state of the card, is that it is a 1 better America Chavez that you're not guaranteed to draw, but it is 1 power more. And when you discard this from your hand, add 3 random cards to your hand. So a lot of random is being added to the game. I don't like when there's this much random being added. You become worse and worse. It's harder and harder to play around cards, right? Like like we probably all experience it with the raft, you know, when someone gets a random 0 cost 6 energy thing, like, oh, not they have a 0 cost Odin out of nowhere, right? It's like, I don't know, maybe sometimes they get Thanos and it's not that crazy, or sometimes they get Odin and an Odin deck and now they have double Odin on the final turn. You can't possibly play around it. And so Helicarrier is kind of between Maria, Agent Coulson, and Helicarrier. It's all kind of I'm starting to, I mean, they're all in the theme, right? This is like the Shield thing. Agent 13, like they add random cards to your hand. Nick Fury, they're about adding random things to your hand. I guess it's just, the idea is like they're random superheroes, right? They're calling who they can get a hold of, not necessarily so like flavor wise, it's kind of interesting. I like that similar cards keep the same style of you know, card flavor, but I don't love this much random being added. But still, how's the card overall? Have 3 random cards in your hand. I mean, you're looking this, it's a little weird. You don't want to play this. Well, maybe you play this in a Hela deck. It's probably pretty good in a Hela deck. It's probably not very good in a Thanos deck. You don't want to be competing for Thanos discarding. You usually want high cost discard cards in Hela, low cost discards in Thanos. That way you discard things like Swarm, and then you use your top end and like Hell Cow or whatever to discard your Apocalypse. What did I say? Did I say Apocalypse? I hope so. When you discard this card from your hand, at 3 random cards in your hand, I mean, I like it. And I do like how good it is with Quinjet. I mean, these are probably a bunch of Quinjets right here, right? So, cool card. Not much more to say about it. I mean, I think it's actually pretty darn powerful, but I'm not super excited about it. Mabaku, this is a card that everyone has I feel like the portrait of as their thing, or maybe it's bots. I don't know. I don't even know if we have access to it. If this is in your deck at the end of the game, it jumps to a random location. Okay, so this is a wonderful Lockjaw card, because even if you draw this at the end of the game, there's a good chance you get to put this back into your deck, right? Outside of Lockjaw, what is this card gonna do? I don't know. It seems like nothing. I don't really like it. Angel has this problem where you draw it, you know, and it's not good when you draw it. So this card makes me feel like it's not good when you draw it. However, in a Lockjaw deck where you're already running things like Wasp or things like that, maybe getting a guaranteed 2 power on one lane somewhere is pretty good. Also, it jumps to a random location. So it's kind of, I hope that's a cool visual thing. I hope it like, but it seems like it'll be okay. It might be more powerful than I'm thinking, but at a 1 energy 2 power, I'm not sure how impactful it would be, but I mean, I immediately think Lockjaw. All right, now one of the coolest cards for sure. Oh, let's scoot back a few seconds. Man, they're going fast. There we go. A Tuma. If you have another card here at the end of your turn, destroy this. But this is a 4 energy, 10 power, bro. Let's go. If you have another card here at the end of your turn, destroy this. Just don't have any other cards here, man. Easy as that. Also, what, you just play armor, right? This guy doesn't destroy himself to armor. There's actually not that much. Is there anything else that saves him, right? Cosmo won't save him, Enchantress won't save him, anything like that, because like sometimes Cosmo will save your stuff if you have that. So I think it's specifically armor. So this card is like identical to, I'm trying to think, in what situation is this better than, you know, the Fishman guy, that has 10 power when he's alone. Maybe that guy has 9 power when he's alone, 4, and he gets +5. I think it goes with 9. So I think this guy's 1 point stronger all the time, but he has to be alone, otherwise he just destroys himself. I mean, yeah, I would. This and armor is pretty good. This by itself, right? It beats Jessica Jones, which is pretty darn good. It's a card that I really like. It's a very cool card. Visually, it's a very interesting card too. Like I like I don't know this character, but I like him a lot. I'm excited to use this card a little bit. There's definitely, like, you don't want to run a whole bunch of these Atlantis cards, or these water themed cards, water superhero cards that like to be alone. Like Orca coming up next, right? You hit a critical mass. You don't want your whole deck to be cards that you only run one of in one location, right? It's just kind of it's harder to do that than you would think sometimes, especially when like one location can't be played in. You get Death's Domain, blah 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 blah. You know, you can't play cards here after turn 4. You never get a chance to play this guy there. So you get to this critical mass of like, you don't want too many of these cards, otherwise they all become too hard to play. So you kind of want to be playing the best of the best, probably. But Orca is like the king of this. 6 energy, 9 power, +5 power if this is your only card here. So he goes to the 14. He's like a Gigantos that can be played absolutely anywhere, but he has to be alone. But still, even then, as a Chavez, that's not terrible, right? We've all seen that a 6 energy for 9 power push can be enough to win a game if you already had enough setup before that. So good card. Again, I'm not sure if I would run like these all together. It's the only time where I see a bunch of cards that do a similar thing that you don't really want all of them in the same deck. So I like it though. Maybe if you get like a cheeky Professor X, this guy just destroys. But then again, I like Gamora too. I don't know. We'll continue. Bast. Bast is fast. Set the power of all cards in your hand to 3. So this is actually a really, really cool card. Set the power of all cards in your hand to 3. Like, you could think of this as like weak cards, right? Like, you could do things with low power, like, oh, maybe I actually Ronan might be at 3, but like Iron Man, right? Iron Man's at 0. There's several cards that have 0 power. Mr. Negative would be a 3 power thing, right? For example, instead of -1. So like a bunch of cool things like that. But my mind instantly goes to Cerebro. This lets you, Cerebro 3 is already the most popular deck. So maybe there's like a few cards that are like OP, really, really powerful effects that you would love to run. Like maybe Onslaught, right? Maybe you could run Onslaught with, in the Cerebro deck or something like that. Like, I don't know if that card's a little expensive, but I really, really like Bass. This is one of those cards that just like, all right, this fundamentally changes so many cards that it's really, you got to look through the whole collection and see, all right, what would be insane if it had 3 power, right? Iron Man would be really good. You could also use this, and there's just too many ways. All right, I'm not even going to try. I'm not a smart enough player to go through all this. So we're just going to look at him and say, wow, that's an incredibly impressive card. This card could easily be meta defining in my opinion. But I mean, I don't know. I'll just say I think this card has a good chance to be meta defining. At the very least, it's going to be badass and cool. All right, Shuri. Double the power of the next card you play. So this is Forge 2.0. This is obviously a very synergistic Black Panther card. So you play the fact that it costs 4, and then you play Black Panther, right? Black Panther, I assume that the doubling doesn't matter which order it does. He goes to 8 and 16. Black Panther already gets so ridiculously big. I don't know if this is going to be what's insane. I like this more with something like a Brood, probably. Double the power of the next card you play, where if you forged, well, no, you couldn't do it like that. You'd have to buff it in your hand in some other way, and then if you double it, Brood could get very, very big. Mr. Sinister, things like that. I mean, obviously doubling the power of everything is good. We have that location, which is, I believe, is her lab, that right, it doubles the power of something you play there. We've seen like a lot of cards are good, like Lizard is really good there. So it's just like a powerful card, better than Forge most of the time, not always, but I actually wonder how well this would work with Deadpool. If you just play Deadpool on turn 5 and you can kill it, like, I mean, who knows how big your Deadpool, it might get like irrelevantly big, well, who knows, but cool card. I like it. I like things that buff other things, that make other cards better, that aren't all-stars on their own. Thanos. This one is a very weird card. At the start of the game, shuffle 6 Infinity Stones into your deck. This card needs a whole video for itself. These are all cards that like draw a card and have an additional effect. I don't have it all pulled up in front of me. This is one that once I have Thanos, I think I want to do a full video just kind of talking about the card itself, how to construct a deck around this card. But he adds 6 cards to your deck. That's pretty bad. You might need something like a crystal just to even see these cards. Luckily, he does add them at the start of the game, right? So that's pretty nice. But still, I'm excited to make Thanos work. I don't know how yet, but it's gonna happen. All right, so stay tuned for that video. Just know that this card has a lot going on. Galactus. This is like Professor X's daddy, on reveal. If this is your only card here, destroy all other locations. If you've seen the world ship, and that's how I assume this works, it doesn't just like it doesn't make them into ruins. It stops the locations from existing, right? Like, so those no longer, it becomes a 1 location game on turn 6. So if you're playing an opponent, like this card legit will like insanely hard counter destroyer decks, right? Destroy your ongoing decks, because if they're trying to warpath and they have a lane that they're not going to play into at all, you just play Galactus on turn 6, they lose both those lanes and you win by 3, right? Because this is the only lane and they never played anything here. So and also if you're doing like Psylocke, something like that, to get an extra energy, like this doesn't have to be your only card here. I think it's on reveal if this is your only card here. So if you play this and another card because you get some extra mana, I think you could play them both. Or you get like an Elysium or whatever like that, I think that you could play other cards here, but This card just feels like a not a real, like, not a good card by any stretch, but it does feel like this could hard counter something like a destroyer deck, where a destroyer on spectrum deck where they're trying to use that warpath, because they very rarely leave one lane completely with 0 power in it. And also this would be to Mr. Fantastic as well, but not like that it matters, but because Mr. Fantastic would be destroyed along with the rest of those damn heroes. Valkyrie, set all cards at this location to 3 power. Another card that I think is just pretty good with Cerebro. Cerebro 3, like, so this is one that's kind of interesting because it weakens all your enemies, right? This also kind of lets you play things if you get cards that get boosted somehow that you didn't want. This also boosts your Cerebro up to 3 power, so he includes himself in that bonus, which is really cool. It boosts Mystique up to 3 power, so it includes itself. It would... No, I'm trying to think if there's anything that it would, like, any way it would turn it off. I don't think so. So this seems like a Cerebro card, which the deck desperately needs. It needs cards that allows you to combat bad locations, right? Now you don't, now if you get Monster Island and you get a 9 power thing, this card will say, hey, you can actually still win. You weaken your card to 3 power, but that's a good thing for your deck because you get way more global power. And that while this also weakens their stuff to 3 power, and it also gets all your stuff below the Shang-Chi range. It gets your monsters underneath Shang-Chi range. So I think this card is a, strictly speaking, Cerebro card. It could be good in some other way, like if you just have 4 things, they have 3 things, right? You're winning by 3 points. So it definitely has, if you played Hearthstone, like there's that card that sets all creatures attack and health to 3/3. It's got vibes of that, so it could give you an advantage if you have more numbers. But I think this is going to be mostly a Cerebro thing. And Super Skrull is the last card of the day. Ongoing has the ongoing effects of all enemy cards. Fuck off, man. Holy shit. So this is a this guy obviously has the Fantastic Four's power, which is kind of weird because Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic have ongoing, but the Thing and the Human Torch do not have ongoing. I don't think the Human Torch, I don't think his ability is ongoing. The ability to double his power whenever he moves, I think it's a static ability, not an ongoing ability, but I could be wrong. The Thing definitely doesn't have ongoing. He has no abilities. But this is a this card seems fucking sick, man. Fucking super cool. I have no idea how powerful it is. Like, obviously, if you're going up against an ongoing deck, and this has, I mean, there are some situations where ongoing is bad, right? Like Typhoid Mary, Red Skull, things like that. But typically, they're getting rid of those abilities anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. But he's going to be getting, right, like if he just has Mr. Fantastic, he has Ant-Man, he has Mojo, he has Blue Marvel, he has Kazar, he has Onslaught. Like, that's a I mean, he just does like an insane amount. It's only 4, right? Because this card is complete shit if their opponent has no ongoing cards. But I wonder if there's a way to force ongoing cards on your opponent. I can't think of a way that there's a way to force the ongoing. You know, he gets Wong, right? He doesn't get Absorbing Man, but he does get Wong. So that's pretty fucking sick. I mean, I feel like this is like a perfect tech card because it's so cool and it wins in a very fun way, but it's weak enough where it is very bad if it's not in the right matchup. But it's a card that I definitely want in my collection because it's going to be meta dependent. If an ongoing deck is insane, this card's going to be insane. If there's no ongoing in 1,000, you know, in the top 4 tiers of decks, then this won't be good. But still, I like that card. I'm excited to get it. And that's all the cards they announced today, besides Silver Surfer. Where did that one get? The guy has the Silver Surfer card or tattoo. Boom, boom, boom. Let's take a look. Do we have the Silver Surfer here? Here we go. Silver Surfer. On reveal, give your other 3 cost cards 3 power. So this is actually, I'm not going to say another Cerebro. It could, but this is probably just more like a Brood card, things like that. The 3 cost cards are Mystique and Cerebro. Giving them 3 power makes them fit into the Cerebro deck pretty well. But then you're spending 3, not doing much, but still works. Obviously, with Wong, doubling the effect is very, very good. Give all your other 3 power things. But this is one of those cards you got to look through your collection, see what has 3 power and what would be broken. Sorry, what has 3 cost and what would be broken if it had 3 more power. Very cool card. This is going to be the next card that I make a deck around, probably, because it's coming in December. This is the first card that they're adding that we all get in part of the battle pass. But yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. Thank you so much for Platypus. It's Purplatypus. Much love. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a nothing or leave a dislike. That's fine. I see those too, even if you guys don't. Peace out.